Right. All right. Yes. It's my birthday. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? The big 4-4. Yeah, I'm 44 years old. Shout out to the fam. Let's get to it. I need to be able to see though. All right. Let's go. Meroe was a great city and metropolis. Herodotus the second. This is on page 41. This is on page 41. All right, let's get down to the business. All right, we're on chapter 3, the ancient Ethiopia, the land, ancient Ethiopia, the land. Ancient. All right, this is Introduction to African History geared just for you, designed to foster a life of learning. All right, Introduction to African History. It'll be once a week, but I had to let me go and put this out here. Uh, I had to go and take a break. For the last few weeks, I have been out and about. Queen Cam and we went to the DR a few weeks ago. So, but shout out to the fam, all the new people out there. I really appreciate you guys. Before you follow, understand what you're about to get into. This is an introduction to African history. This is not a lot of deep and philosophical stuff. I do answer a few questions. I have been getting them. I have been responding accordingly, and some of them will be in the next couple of episodes or whatever. But before you hit that follow button, know that this is basic African history. Okay. But shout out to all you guys who've been following me. This is my birthday, and I am very excited that you guys are with me. Man, shout out to the fam in the United States, the UK, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Germany, Canada, Los Angeles, LA, Texas, New York, Florida. All right, Georgia. What's going on, y'all? I'm very excited that you guys. South Africa. Oh man, put your city and your location in the chat. But I really appreciate you guys for rolling with me. All the new followers, we jumped, y'all. We went from like 300 followers last month to like 400. So you guys, I really appreciate you guys rolling with me. We back in this thing. I did have to take a break. Had to I couldn't do teacher stuff anymore. And I had to relax. I had to chill. I had to, enjoy family. All right. But yeah, Queen and I went to the DR. I may talk to y'all about that, or may not, you know what I'm saying? But it was an interesting trip and I really enjoyed it. I needed it. So, but back to back to the business, right? All right, this is once a week, kind of, sort of. Go over a few readings on the continent of Africa. Are there any other civilizations in Africa outside of Kemet? Yes, we're dealing with ancient Kush. We're dealing with Nubia. That's what we're talking about. Nubia is uh, it's a large area. Much love to the fam of Sudan. It is a vast area, y'all. It covers a lot of ground. Kush can be termed as Nubia, Meroe, Ethiopia. They can at one point in time they was basically one and the same. All right. This is the book we into. Our textbook for summer school is The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire by Sister Drusilla Junji Houston. This was made in 1926. It's still groundbreaking work. A lot of people say, well, it's not the truth, it's a lie, whatever the case may be, but this information is very factual and it is cross-referenced with a lot of other works, modern day works. All right. The link is in the description and as an Amazon affiliate, I earn from qualifying purchases at no additional cost to you. But get you one. All right, let's go. Now, here's some of the questions. Who are some of the prominent figures profiled in this chapter and what were their achievements? We're going to get into that. What strategies did the early Kushite rulers use to expand their empire? And how does Houston portray the governance systems of the early Kushite empire? All right. Now, Meroe was a great city and metropolis, according to Herodotus II. This was a Greek scholar. This cat was there. All right. He saw it live and in color. Uh, Unlike some of the other scholars who would like to portray our ancient nations other than black or other than civilized or having high culture, this cat saw it live in the color. He saw them. He talked with them. He had conversations with them. He ate with them. So uh, primary sources are just as important as secondary, if not more, right? Now, ancient Ethiopia, the land itself, the Nubo Ethiopian desert was once abundantly waters and well-tempered region. It is not like the desert you see right now. It is not like the dry, arid land you see. 10,000 years ago, it was grassland. According to some of the writings and some of the cave art, there was elephants there. There was giraffes there. All right. So geology reveals that the primitive ages or the early ages, this country had moist climate like the Congo Basin. Okay. And there was once a yellow Nile extending towards Lake Chad. A lot of people try to make a disclaimer saying that West Africa had nothing to do with the Nile River. Bro, y'all didn't do your homework. Um, Lake Chad is proof of that because Lake Chad serves as an oasis, as a meeting point. It bridged the gap between East Africa and West Africa. We did talk about that last year, so I'm gonna try to put that video in here also. But yeah, the Yellow Nile did exist. There was, of course, now there's a Blue Nile and there's a White Nile, but there is a yellow one that went kind of that branched off westward. Right now, the whole space between the Nile and Abyssinia northward once constituted as Ethiopia. The whole 4,100-mile region was constituted as Ethiopia. Okay. Um, Abyssinia, Habasha, whatever you want to call it. We know what it is. Okay. I know there's a lot of people that like to be really technical with the terms and definitions, which is fine, but it really depends on the era. They may say Ethiopia, they may say Nubia. Okay, so let's go. It was called the Bilal Sudan, the land of the blacks. But shout out to Baba Shabaka. He's very knowledgeable on this subject concerning the Bilal Sudan. The Bilal Sudan is not just that specific region in Ethiopia and Sudan. It went westward towards Nigeria. So that is 4,000 miles the other way. Okay, the whole region where the Hausa, Fulani, the Tuareg, and many other groups, the Yoruba, shout out to the fam. That's where they live. That's where they migrate. So, all right. So migration patterns matter. But yeah, check out Baba Shabaka on that. He's very knowledgeable on that concept. All right. He lives in Morocco, by the way. All right. Now, there was an intimate connection between Egypt and Ethiopia commercially. Yeah, it wasn't an isolated situation. As I said many times before, as we on this channel, Ethiopia and Egypt were family. So they traded. They got into it. They fought, they loved, and the cycle continues. So there was an intimate connection between Egypt and Ethiopia commercially, not just on a commercial level, because we try to make it sound like it was a superficial thing where it's just trading. Culture was being exchanged, knowledge was being exchanged, especially knowing the fact that Ethiopia was the mother of Egypt, where a lot of the information was handed and passed down to her. All right. Remember, the early priests, the Kari Hev, were from Sudan, were from Ethiopia. They were not from Egypt. All right. Let's go. Now, before we further, that's something I want to read though, because I like to read stuff. Oh, just remember that this is on page 41, by the way. Ancient authorities tell us that they grew grains upon lands richer and wider than the whole of Egypt, with pastures, limitless plains. There, there, there were there were lands of heavy rain. So this was during the time where a lot of rain was happening, and a lot of agriculture was happening. So in order for their civilization to be sustained, they had to eat. So they had agriculture happening. It wasn't just all of a sudden invented later on. They had to happen, right? So now dealing with the connection, they did expand to other places. Now keep in mind, in regions of Libya and parts of Chad and others, they had small tribes, and so these small tribes started to blend with or fight, depends on the story, with Egypt and Ethiopia. So there was some fighting. There was, keep in mind, if you're the king of your place, you don't want another king coming in and saying, "Hey, I'm the king now." There were some clashes, right? So we had to understand that there was some expansion, there was some um conflict, all right. But the seat of power of the Great Caravan route was moving from the south towards the north of Africa. Okay, and matter of fact, Strabo spoke of this open way in the day of Tatius long before the ancient gaze was built. From Meroë eastward extended the great caravan route by which the wares of southern Arabia and Africa were interchanged. So they had trade routes long before the Silk Road. All right. So, as a matter of fact, the Silk Road was originally paved by Africans. That's for free. All right, let's go. Now, the leaders and their achievement. Houston states the average student does not know that in Nubia are infinitely more monuments and temples than in Egypt. And this is a doggone fact. There are more places to be discovered and understood in Nubia than there are in Egypt, because it's right now Egypt is saturated. We know about Waset, we know about Luxor, Thebes, the Valley of the Kings, and so on, but there are many places untouched in Nubia. Okay, we need to check it out. We need to get into it. I told you before, I did not know about the pyramids of Meroe until I went to college. All right, so let's get to it. Now, 12 miles north of Naga is a labyrinth of ruined buildings called Masarat, okay, or Masarat es-Sufra, the Lion Temple. I want to see that. I want to see that. The Lion Temple, man, we know the lion represents power, it represents authority. Man, and you see the image here, it is very similar to what you will see in Kemet. All right. Even the layout of the Lion Temple. Now, dealing with their Neteru, dealing with their structure. I know they had the hidden one there also, but as far as the other Neteru, I'm not sure. But that's something we need to discuss also. This building here, the Lion Temple, looks very similar to the Grand Lodge of Waset, or the Grand Temple in Waset. All right, just in a smaller scale. So it shows some kind of cultural connection and continuity even in Sudan. All right, let's continue. Now, we know what this is. This is Abu Simbel. It was built by Ethiopians. Okay, I'm just going to put it out there. These temples, these buildings were built by Africans in Africa. They weren't built by aliens from outer space. They weren't built by somebody from up north. These monuments were built by Africans. And of course, Ursa Ma'ataras, Tipran Ameri Amen Remesu, Ramses II. Yeah, he was legendary. Okay. But he was the reason why he was legendary was because he had legendary people around him. Okay. And his wife, Nefertari, was Nubian. I'm just saying, in order for him to be king or be in Sutbiti, his wife had to be legit. Yes, we shout out to Sister Danita Smith on the topic. She really got into real good detail about that. Shout out to Danita Smith. She talked about the fatherhood of Seti and his son Ramses II. That was awesome. That was great. Check her out. All right. But his wife was Nubian. Okay, so we have to understand that great leaders had great people around them, and great men should and must have great women around them. Okay. Uh, Queen Cam, she's very supportive. She's behind the scenes, and she made my shirt, 1980, that kind of thing. But she's very supportive. She may not say much, but she's awesome. So, guys, take it as you will. But great kings have great queens. I digress. Right? Yeah. All right. All right. Here we go. Now, let's continue. The Dhaka Temple. This is further south in Sudan. Was this and the Dhaka Temple and this pyramid was built by Akramani. He was another Nubian king, and he built just as vast and great monuments in Sudan. Okay, so now this guy here, Thuthmoses III, man, oh man, he built temples, but it was the way he did it. A lot of people disagreed with him about how he did it, dealing with him and his predecessor Hatshepsut. But we have to understand that he too had to assert his authority. When his time came, he had to establish the fact that he is the Insubiti. He is the rightful heir to that throne, and he had to take care of business. Think about this: when you are in a new position and the outgoing regime it still lingers, you have to do what you have to do to set the tone. And so he had to set the tone. But by him setting that tone and setting that precedence, and also asserting his power, we was able to get and Amenhotep III or King Tut or even Ramses II. So think about it like that. Now we have also queens. We have Candaces. We have queens in Nubia. I got to get the name right before we get to it. Got to get the name right real quick because I don't like mispronouncing names and the king. Okay, the king is Nana Kamani, and the queen is Amani Tori. Okay, Amani Tori. Okay, the queen, the king, once again, is Nata Kamani, and the queen is Amani Tori. Okay, the reason why I have this picture here is to show that these kings ruled with their queens as equal and as co-regent. They was not, the women were not treated as underlings. They were not treated as second-class citizens or less than. These queens in Ethiopia and Meroe had power. And sometimes they had absolute power. And a monetary was something serious. And I would like to believe that she set the precedence for those queens that came after her, who was able to push out Rome, who was able to assert themselves as rulers in Sudan. All right. We need our people. We need everybody. I'm just saying, it's not just one person. We need everybody. All right. Ubuntu, everybody. Right. And how did they do it? They had democracy and a strong military. Rome and Greece did not want to see Nubia. They did not. Matter of fact, they couldn't see them because why? These people here had a skill set. They was able to hit them arrows, they shoot them arrows, and would get your eye miles away. They knew what they was doing. They had democracy. They had democracy and they had a strong military. There was no way for them to build such wonderful temples without establishing some kind of government and some kind of authority and power. Yeah, it's cool to be philosophical, but it's also great to have a strong hand also. We need both. Okay, that's why the Heru and Maket, the Sphinx, is so important. You had the king, but the king had to also be a beast. All right, so he had to be smart, but he also had to have some power. Okay, let's continue. So this was their strategy. That's how they did it. They was able to expand all the way up to Libya and to Syria and other places, and even into Egypt. Okay, so because remember, Ethiopia gave birth to Nubia, Nubia gave birth to Egypt. All right. Yeah, so what's next? Next week we'll discuss chapter 4. For more ancient Kush, check out Sister Danita Smith, Yahya Sabaka, and AE Learning, and some more books. Ancient African Civilization, Kush and Exhumed, Black Genesis by Robert Bauval, and let me see, what's that? Prehistoric. Well, I'm sorry, Temples and Tombs of Ancient Nubia, Prehistoric Nations. All right. And we just talked about chapter 3, Ancient Ethiopia, the land. You just listened to King Cam Ujumbe podcast. Ujumbe means message, and we talked about Ethiopia and the land. This has been great. I'm about to enjoy my birthday. I'm about to go, and go out and enjoy family. But most importantly, I really appreciate you guys for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, asking questions. I really appreciate all of you. Wherever you are, I really appreciate you guys. And to my new people that jumped in class, you're not late. You're just in time, all right? But yeah, let me get my stuff together. Let me find the stuff. I can't always be the teacher all the time. All right. Talk to you later.